Hello my fellow weebs, my name is Bianca and this is my Weeby YouTube channel. Now I think it goes without saying that 2020 was a very interesting year. But even though it was so historic, I guess could be the word, I think it's time we move on and look forward to 2021. Hopefully 2021 turns out to be a little bit less intense, a little bit less interesting. If 2021 ends up just being a repetition of 2020, well, at least we have anime. So in today's video, I want to share with you guys my most anticipated 2021 anime. I'll be including anime that already have release dates in 2021, anime that are predicted to come out in 2021, and anime that aren't coming out in 2020, so 2021 is the soonest date possible for them. For those that fall in that last category, their inclusion here is my way of manifesting them, so they end up coming sooner rather than later, because some of these I really need now. Another thing about this list is that I'm just talking about anime that are going to be released in 2021, so not about anime that were released in 2020 and are just continuing on to 2021. So anime like Jujutsu Kaisen and Attack on Titan won't be included on my list, but I'm definitely excited for the later half of these seasons. Now without further ado, let's talk about the anime I am most excited about. This list is in no particular order, but I will be starting with the anime that actually have release dates. So first up we have Beastars Season 2, which is coming out on January 5th. Now I'm not gonna lie, I did stay away from Beastars in 2019 because I saw the trailer and I was like, so this is just adult Zootopia for furries? And I was just like, you know what, that's not my thing. It's not my thing. So I didn't watch it. But then quarantine happened in 2020 and I just suddenly found myself with a lot of time. So I was like, you know what? Let's check out Beastars. I kept hearing about Beastars and how good it was and I was like, is this a joke? Like, are people just joking? So I convinced one of my non-weeb friends to watch it with me through Netflix Party. So we watched a dub and I had a good time with the dub. I didn't think it was horrible. And by the end of it, I was like, you know what? Yeah, it is adult Zootopia, but it's adult Zootopia meets Twilight and I'm into that. On the other hand, my friend came out with the realization that she was in fact a furry because she was attracted to Legoshi. So I had a really good experience watching season 1 and the season ended with things being unresolved, like especially the murder that happened in like the first few episodes. Like we never came back to that and I'm hoping season 2 comes back to it because I kind of want to know what happened. But I'm really interested in seeing how these characters continue to develop because even though they're animals, even though they're anthropomorphic animals, they are very complex and I'm just super invested in them and in this world. Now the next two anime are basically connected. So we have Cells at Work Season 2, which is coming out on January 9th, and Cells at Work Code Black, which is coming out on January 10th. Now, I watched the first half of season 1 of Cells at Work with a friend of mine who was actually taking human anatomy at the time. I kind of wanted to see like, hey, is this accurate? Because I took human anatomy in high school, but so much of that knowledge had already gone out the window. I convinced her and she watched a couple of episodes with me and she actually found them to be very accurate and entertaining. But yeah, we only watched the first half together and then I watched the second half of season 1 like a year later, and during that time I was taking human anatomy. So again, I found it very helpful, entertaining, and it's just a fun time, especially when you know what's going on, when you're like, oh yeah, that cell actually does that. And also the little details are just so perfect. Like you have your red blood cells and they're basically USPS. They're delivering packages containing oxygen and other nutrients to different cells throughout the body, and it's so good and it's also educational. Now Cells at Work Code Black is a spin-off of Cells at Work, and this is a more mature Cells at Work. So with this spin-off, I know we're going to be focusing on cells in a different body, and these cells are going to be dealing with more horrific things because they are cells in a very unhealthy body. From the trailer you can just tell it's a little darker, it's a little grittier. But yeah, I'm really excited for both of these seasons, and I know there is another spin-off where they're in a baby body, and I want 2022 to be the year where we have Cells at Work Season 3, Cells at Work Code Black Season 2, and the baby one. I want more Cells at Work. Next up, also coming out on January 10th, is Horimiya. I have waited for a Horimiya anime for a couple of years. I'm so excited for this one. I've only read about 6 volumes, but I love this series. I think it is so cute. I think it's a very refreshing high school romance, high school coming of age story. And I feel like we don't really get a lot of those nowadays. Don't have much to say about this except that I'm really excited and that it took too long to get here. Okay, and the last anime that actually has an official release date is My Hero Academia Season 5. Coincidentally, this is coming out a few days before my birthday, so I'm gonna consider it a birthday present for me. I love My Hero Academia. I think it is probably one of my favorite ongoing series right now. Again, in 2020, because I found myself with a lot of time, I rewatched seasons 1 through 4. Now, I will be honest, season 4 was not my favorite. I think there were issues with the pacing, and when I read the Gentle arc in the manga, I wasn't the biggest fan of it, and when it was animated, I wasn't the biggest fan of it. But season 5 is going to include some really amazing moments. If you've seen any of the promotional pictures going around, you know we're going to get a Class 1A versus Class 1B fight. There's just going to be so many good moments and so many good character moments, like character development galore for both the heroes and the villains. That's all I'll say. Honestly, I can't wait for this one, and once season 5 is over, that just means we're closer to season 6, and season 6 is gonna blow everyone away. Next up, we have anime that don't have release dates, but I'm pretty sure coming out in 2021. So starting off, we have The Given movie. Now, this movie already came out in theaters in Japan, and I think we were supposed to have a theatrical release here in North America, but because of what's going on in the world, that was pushed back or just scrapped altogether. But anyway, that just doesn't matter because Crunchyroll is going to be streaming The Given movie sometime in 2021, and I'm super excited for it. I watched The Given anime either the end of 2019 or the beginning of 2020. I don't really remember, but I loved it. It was so cute and heartwarming and a little bit tragic, and it just made me feel. And because I loved it so much, I picked up the manga, and I've been a mess ever since. I'm still so shocked that I ended up really loving this series because I'm not the biggest fan of like musicals or music-centered anime or even shows or movies. Like, I don't really care, they're not really my thing, but this is just, I love it. If you haven't checked out Given yet, I definitely recommend you do. I feel like it's a very relatable series because the characters are going through such relatable experiences. Like, we've all experienced loss. We've all experienced love. Also, the music is pretty cool. Like, Mafiyu's song, I cry. Speaking of crying, next up we have Fruits Basket, the final season. I know some people have been waiting about 20 years, I think, to see some of this stuff animated. I've only been waiting about 8 years, but even so, I don't think any of us are ready. Like, the stuff that's gonna happen in the final season is just, it's a lot. Season 2 already emotionally ruined me, and I know the final season is just gonna wreck me entirely. Like, emotionally, I know I will never recover. Next up is an exciting movie that was just recently announced, and that is the My Hero Academia Movie 3. I knew there were probably going to be more My Hero Academia movies, but I was just under the belief that they would never be able to top what happened in Heroes Rising. But then we got the teaser poster featuring the 3 boys, the 3 best boys, Deku, Todoroki, and Bakugo, in these very cool outfits. And then we got the tagline, "He will meet the 3 musketeers." What does that even mean? What does that even mean? I don't know, but I'm so excited. This will probably have a connection with All for One and One for All because the 3 musketeers originated the famous saying, "One for all and all for one." And One for All and All for One are like a pretty big deal in the My Hero verse. Aside from that promotional picture, that's all we have, but I'm just super excited, and I feel like it's gonna be able to top Heroes Rising, which I thought was impossible, but if you add Todoroki as a main character, anything is possible. Next up, we have Kaguya-sama Love is War Season 3. I know I'm a little late to the party, but I feel like the most important thing is that I finally boarded the hype train and I'm not getting off. This is a romantic comedy I just didn't know that I needed in my life. I really became a big fan of the series, but then Season 2 made me love it. Season 2 especially made me love Ishigami. Like, he is my favorite character, and he's probably the reason why I'm most looking forward to Season 3 because I think he'll play a bigger role. I'm hoping. But even if he didn't really have a big role, as long as he's just there in the background, I'll be happy because this anime is just so entertaining. It's so funny. It's so funny. Like, Chica, we don't deserve Chica. We don't deserve Chica at all. The only gripe I have about this series, and I'm hoping season 3 kind of fixes it or kind of doesn't make it an issue, is that I wish Kaguya-sama and what's his name? What's the president's name? I just want there to be some progression with their non-relationship, future relationship. I want some development. You know, I don't want it to be dragged out, because if it continues to be dragged out, it's gonna lose me like Nisekoi did. And I have so much faith in this series. I don't want to drop it. I don't want to become annoyed with it. So I'm optimistic that season 3 will have some development. Okay, next up is The Way of the Househusband. Again, like with Kaguya, I was late to this party as well. I'd heard about The Way of the Househusband for maybe a year or two, and I was meaning to check it out, but I just never did. But I bought the first 3 volumes of the manga, and I laughed. The Way of the Househusband was so funny. It actually made me laugh out loud. Like, I actually had to stop and close the book and laugh for a good minute or two, because some of the scenarios in the manga are just so funny. The manga is great, and I've also seen some clips of the live action show movie. I don't really know what it is, but those 2 are hilarious. So the anime has a lot to compete with, but if it's able to match the humor, wow, amazing. Like, this is gonna be one of the funniest shows this year. Okay, next up we have I think 1 episode special, I think is happening in 2021. It is the Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans Uruz Hunt. Now, I am a huge fan of Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans. It is my favorite Gundam series that I've watched. I love Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans, and we were teased with an announcement. We were all hoping it was season 3, but instead it was the announcement of this mobile game, which is now getting a special anime episode thing, I'm assuming. Now, I don't know much about the mobile game because I didn't play it, but I know we're focusing on a boy living in a colony in Venus, I think, and he has a Gundam, or he found a Gundam and stuff happens. I'm not sure, but because it takes place between seasons 1 and 2, I'm going into this hoping to see my boys. I'm also looking forward to a cool mech fight, because Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans was so good at those. I'm hoping because this got a special episode that it means that Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans is still kind of popular, and hopefully, you know, one day we get more in this universe. Hopefully a movie that actually takes place after season 2, because that would be amazing. The last few anime I'm going to be talking about are anime that don't have release dates and probably won't come out in 2021, but never say never. First up is Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid Season 2. Now, confession time, I haven't finished Season 1, but from what I've seen, I love this series so much, and I'm glad that there's a season 2. 1 season honestly would not be enough. Again, this is a series that surprised me. This isn't really what I'm into. I like a lot of plot, you know? I like plot, I like drama, and this is just very feel-good, fun, cute, and I'm a big fan. Okay, next up. This has probably been something I've been anticipating for so long. If I could only have one thing come out in 2021 and then the rest get pushed back to 2022, I'd be fine with it. Just to watch this finally. The Yuri on Ice movie, Ice Adolescence. Season 1 ended in like 2016? We have been starved of Yuri on Ice content. We have had no season 2. This movie has been in production. We've known about it for years, and I feel like we've all been hopeful, like you would be for a miracle to happen. And you know that miracle may or may not happen in your lifetime, but we were all just dying for it. And I feel like some people were coming to the realization like, hey, maybe we're not gonna get this. Maybe we're not gonna get a season 2. But then on Thanksgiving Day, November, when is Thanksgiving? 26th, 27th? Who cares? On that day, we got a teaser of Ice Adolescence featuring a young Victor, and it just broke the internet. It broke me. I teared up. I teared up because Yuri on Ice gave me so much serotonin, and just seeing something new of Yuri on Ice, it was too much for me, and it was too much for a lot of people. Yuri on Ice trended the entire day on Thanksgiving. Never underestimate a starving fandom. Is this coming out in 2021? I don't think so. I think that's all they had. But it's coming. It's coming soon. All the waiting was worth it. I probably should have saved that one for last because that's probably what I'm most excited about. And not that I'm not excited for anything else that I've talked about, but just like my energy levels are going to be fluctuating here. But next up is Bleach, the 1,000-Year War arc. Do I need to say much? I think this is amazing, and it just shows you that an anime that ended years ago still has a chance of returning. So it gives me hope that one day we can finally get the last 2 arcs of Kaguya-sama Reborn animated. Please, please. Not like the biggest Bleach fan, but I read it years ago. I really enjoyed it. The last arc was a little, I feel like by now we kind of all know that Kubo was a little rushed to finish Bleach. So I'm hoping he's involved with this anime adaptation. I'm hoping he adds what he wants to add. He expands on things he wanted to expand on. So I'm hoping this just becomes a bigger and better 1,000-Year War arc than it was in the manga. Okay, 3 more series to talk about. Next we have Sasaki to Miyano. This I'm including just because I saw the promotional picture for the anime while I was scrolling through Twitter, and I absolutely fell in love with it. I was intrigued. I looked it up, and this just sounds like such a cute story. Like I mentioned when talking about Horimiya, I just love these high school slice of life stories. I think they're so wholesome and cute, and I want to feel all the warm fuzzy feelings, so I can't wait for this one. Next up we have My Next Life as a Villainess, All Routes Lead to Doom Season 2. My Next Life as a Villainess was one of my favorite anime of 2020. It was amazing. Like with others on my list, this was something that I didn't think I was gonna like because I'm not the biggest fan of the isekai anime. I usually stay away from those, but there was just something about this that called to me. I don't know if it was the art style, I don't know if it was the synopsis, something called to me and I answered. Yes, it's basically like every reincarnation AU fanfic, but this one just worked. I think the biggest reason why this really worked out was because of Bakarina, or Katarina Kleist. She's an idiot. She is an idiot, but she is adorable. She's a lovable idiot. We love her. I would protect her. I would die for her. I would kill for her. So don't go insulting my girl. I was afraid that this wasn't going to get a season 2, but I'm so happy it was popular enough to get it. Finally, we have Requiem of the Rose King. Now this is a series I've been interested in for a couple of years now. I've only read the first 2 volumes, but they were so unique and captivating that I've kept them in my collection with the intention to collect the rest. This is so exciting because I never thought that this series would actually get an anime because it is so dark and interesting and a little different than what we're used to, if that makes any sense. So this is a series that is loosely based on the Shakespearean plays Richard III and Henry VI. I think so. It basically follows like the War of the Roses, which if you don't know, or if you're like me and you didn't really know much about that except that it's called the War of the Roses. According to Wikipedia, the War of the Roses were a series of English civil wars for control of the English throne between 2 different families, House Lancaster and House York, which were represented by like a red rose and a white rose, so you have the War of the Roses. Now, I don't remember learning about this in history class at all, but I did take a Shakespeare class in college and we did read Richard III and Henry VI, and I really enjoyed both of those plays. I don't think you need to read these plays to be able to understand what's going on because, like I mentioned, this is a very loose emphasis on loose adaptation of these plays. If you're a fan of dark fantasy or historical dramas, like definitely check this one out because it's really good. And those are all the 2021 anime releases I'm excited for. Yeah, some are coming out after 2021, but again, I am manifesting. Now make sure to leave the anime that you're looking forward to down below. This video is scheduled to go up on December 31st, so New Year's Eve. Whether 2020 was a good year or a bad year for you individually, I hope your 2021 is amazing. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you next year with more weeby videos. Happy New Year! Bye!